Hello and welcome back to my channel, Olivia Rose Floral Designs. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this beautiful Christmas table arrangement using a variety of foliage, lovely florals and some Christmas decorations. So come with me and I'll show you exactly what you need for this tutorial. So for today's video we're going to use some of this Nobilis spruce. So here I buy them in clusters, and what I do is I then cut them down. So you can see here I've cut them into pieces already, which I'll show you how to do during the video. But it's really effective, very Christmassy. The definite must-have seasonal foliage for this arrangement. We've then got a couple of other types of foliage which I have foraged. So we've got again evergreen pieces which really help build that base on our table arrangement today. For the flowers we are going to use a variety, well, two varieties of roses. So we've got our red madam rose and then we've got the smaller red ribbon rose. So very similar in colours, but just different sizes, just to give it a variety and a nice in-depth structure. I'm not sure how well this shows on camera, but we've now got these absolute beautiful burgundy colour deep red carnations that we're also going to be using just to give it a variety and not just to have the roses. Alongside our florals we are going to use some decor. So I have these absolutely beautiful red berries. They're artificial and they have a small covering of snow on some of the branches, so it's not an overkill, it's quite subtle. And then we also have this lovely gold leaf. Now this gold leaf came as part of a large garland, and what I did is I just simply cut it down into manageable pieces and added a wire on the end. So I do have a video on how to wire these types of pieces and flowers, so please go ahead and watch that. But all you simply do is loop a wire around the top, and then with some paraffin tape you just attach the wire to the piece that you require, and you can chop these down to manageable sizes to fit your arrangement. Okay, so let's get the Oasis, which has been in soak, and I'll show you the tray that I'm using and how to attach the Oasis to the tray and how to attach the candle. Okay, so we now have our Oasis which has been in soak. So when you soak your Oasis, you need to fill up the sink or a bowl or whatever you're using to soak it in, a bath, and you simply just plop the Oasis on top of the water and it will float and slowly absorb the water and sink until it's completely full of water and quite heavy. I wouldn't advise to push it down and force the Oasis to absorb all the water, because it will get full of air bubbles and this can actually damage the flowers, or there may be some dry patches inside where your flowers or florals will not be able to have a drink. So these blocks are designed to fit in the trays, which they do so nicely. And I don't know why, but I've always cut off the edges just so we haven't got those harsh edges. I leave it in the tray when I do so. It's just to help me when I'm arranging my florals. You do not have to do this. This is just me, how I've always done it. Okay. I'm not going to reduce the height of the Oasis as well, because I want this to be a nice arrangement for my table. But what I will do is with some pot tape secure the Oasis so it can't fall out. So you can buy this on Amazon, online, most floral shops or craft shops, and it is Oasis pot tape. So you simply take a piece, lift your tray, secure underneath, and then make sure you join the tape so it overlaps like so. So again, it doesn't have to be too neat because no one's going to lift up and have a look underneath. I hope not anyway. So again, place it there. I like to put 2 pieces on, but you do have to bear in mind what you're adding to the top of your Oasis. So you've got to remember the foliage or stems will not pierce through this tape because it's quite strong. And if you're adding a candle like I am, you need to visualize before you add the tape where you're adding your candle. Are you having one in the middle? Are you having one each end? So if you're having one each end, I would probably put the tape a little bit closer together or maybe towards the edge, but mine's going to go in the middle, so I'm going to have it nice and easy today. Right, with the candles, I bought this pack recently and they all, I don't know if it's my eyes, but they do seem to be a bit wonky, but I'm not sure if it's me or whether they actually are. So because this is a candle that's wider at the bottom and becomes narrow at the edge, I'm going to show you how to wire the bottom of the candle so it can poke inside the Oasis. So I'm just going to move the Oasis over there for a moment, and I'm just going to take my cloth, because I always have a cloth when I've got wet Oasis, because as we add the stems into the Oasis, the water does seems to overflow. So with our candle, we need 4 wires. I've gone for some thicker wires today. So with your wire, I've already made, I hope you can see that if I put that against my jumper. Hopefully you can see that I've just bent the wire in half, so I'm going to do that 4 times. So you simply take your wire, and I do apologise if you can't see this very clearly, and you just bend it in half so you've got like a pin, like a hairpin wire, like so. And then what you do with your pot tape is you lay your candle down and try not to damage it, and I just pop it on like so. I don't know if that's helping with my hand now at all, but you probably put half the wire onto the candle and then the other half sticking out, so you've got the 2 end pieces sticking out, and these are going to be the 2 pieces that insert into the Oasis. So lay your candle down, you get your tape, I'm just going to tape a piece off, and you simply stick it to the candle like so, and then just add the other 3 pieces so they can be as even as possible or as spread out around the candle as they possibly can. Again, it does not have to be exact, and you do not have to worry about the tape because the foliage will hide this. So once you've got it on, I just have a long enough piece of tape so I can go around a couple of times, and that just secures the pins on your candle, and I'll just pull them down slightly so they're nearer the top end of the tape, like so. So you can see my wires being bent, I've taped it on, and now we're going to secure it into the Oasis. So with the Oasis, I'm just going to pop this into the middle like so, and you can knock it, obviously if it gets hit hard or it falls, then it will be knocked out, but that is quite a sturdy candle. You can buy candle holders, the plastic ones, but I struggle to find them for this size candle, and sometimes they're not as secure as 8 pins really, because obviously the 4 pins bent in half, you've got 8 different legs where the candle can have some security, and then once you start putting the foliage in, that will also support the candle. Okay, so now we have our Oasis in place and our candle in place. I'm just going to quickly get rid of these scraps just so we have a clear table. Try and keep your table as clear as possible when working. It's very easy to get a mess, and I've always and already prepared my foliage, so I've cut my pieces down to the kind of sizes that I require, prepped my flowers, got rid of all the leaves and fronds and prepared the stems, and got all of my pieces wired ready to go. So first of all, we're going to start with some conifer, and the reason I'm going to start with this is because it's going to give me some length to my arrangement. So remember, the more pieces of foliage and florals you add in, the more compact the Oasis is going to be. So I'm going to start at either end of my centrepiece, and I'm going to go for pieces that are very similar. So you'd like to go for something that's similar in length, so you've got the even size either side. Okay, and we're going to start with these two pieces of foliage, and they're going to be pointing slightly downwards. And then I'm going to take some smaller pieces around the corners, also pointing downwards. Okay, so we're going to start pretty low towards the end of the Oasis, and we've gone for the two end pieces, and that's going to be the final length of your arrangement. So you might want to measure your table, decide how many plates you're going to have laid out on your table and how much room everything's going to take, because at Christmas, as we know, we have plates, we have cutlery, we have side plates, bowls, dishes, glasses, etc. So we want to make sure this doesn't overwhelm the space and get in the way. So this piece here is going to be about the right size for me. So now we've done that, we're going to add the side pieces, and with these I wouldn't go too crazy, because it's these pieces that are going to affect someone, especially if you have people sat either side of your arrangement. So I've gone for these two pieces, they're quite similar in size, and I'm going to cut them down. And I'm just going to take some of these end pieces of conifer off, cut them down even more. Because we want the shape, we want to cut from the bottom up, so if it's too long, like this piece will come out to here, you might want it a little bit smaller, so I would pull off the end pieces like so. That way you keep the shape. Cut the stem down, try again, and then that'll give you that perfect shape, but it will be shorter, it won't stick out as far on the table. So you can see the difference in these two pieces now, just by chopping it down like so from the bottom up. So you keep the end shape, but you just lose the length. Okay. Another thing, try not to do, even though I've done it, is take the foliage in and out, because it will cause holes within there. But that was just purely so I could show you how I shorten the length of them without damaging the tip. So I'm just doing the same from the other side, like that. So now we have, I don't know if you can see that, I'll show you from above in a moment. We have two end pieces. We have the four corners, and then we have the two middle pieces as well. So with the rest of my conifer, I'm just going to cut some down, and I'm going to go around and put some in, just so we've got the same foliage following through the whole arrangement. When doing these types of arrangements, I would suggest you have a bin behind you, or some kind of sheeting on the floor, which is what I have, where you can just tidy up the pieces afterwards. So I'm going to continue round with my conifer pieces. Okay, so you can see I've finished adding my conifer. I've added round the edges, the lengths, and some little pieces on top as well. And this is just so the same foliage peeps throughout the arrangement. The good thing about the conifer is you can cut them down into small pieces. And please don't worry if you have some little branches that you can see the ends of, because these will be disguised once the rest of the foliage is added. So the next piece I'm going to add is my spruce, which I absolutely love. This is the absolute ultimate Christmas foliage, and I love it. And I'm going to start by adding these pieces again at the bottom, just so it lays alongside the conifer at the ends around the edges. And then I'm going to randomly add them in. So let's start with the two end pieces. So again, you're not going to get them identical, but just have them so they're a similar length and width to each other. And make sure the stems aren't too long, because otherwise you're going to use up a lot of the Oasis. So I'm going to go a bit higher than the conifer, and I'm just going to start adding these in at the ends like so, and you can see that taking effect already, and they really complement each other. So now I'm going to start working my way around the arrangement with my pieces. So again, round the bottoms, I'm going to go in between the middle piece of conifer, around the back, again you may need to snip some of these, and it's good to have a lot of this prepped before you start, because it just speeds things up and it just helps you navigate around your arrangement without having to stop and start all the time. So I'm going to continue with my spruce, and I shall show you what it looks like in a moment. Okay, so I'm coming to the top now, and I'm just adding a few more pieces in. So some of these pieces I prepped are a bit big, so I'm just cutting them down and then adding them on like so. Okay, so you can see this is really taking shape now. We've got a lot of our spruce and we've got a lot of our conifer. So I'm going to bring some more conifer to the top of my arrangement, which you can do so as you're starting to fill out, you just want to make sure there's no gaps. So there's quite a big one on top at the moment because we have the candle, and I just need to put a bit more foliage, and then we're going to add some different types of foliage just so we've got some depth. So I'm going to start adding this around the sides and edges like so. And we like to do all of this before we start adding our florals. So I'm just going to go around and add all the foliage and make sure there's no gaps. So this is our arrangement finished with our foliage. So as you can see, there's foliage all the way around. We can't really see any gaps, so just keep an eye on that as you add your flowers. And what we're going to do now is start to add our end roses. So I have our roses which I've already treated, so I've had them in water, I've taken all the thorns off and leaves, so please prep that before you begin. And then what I do is I lay the rose alongside, on top of my arrangement, alongside the end piece of foliage, just so I know where I want that rose and what length. So I want to bring it in, so I take it to the end of the foliage and I bring it in about a couple of inches, I'd say, because we don't want this arrangement to be about florals. We want it mainly to be foliage and decor. So I'll take it in a couple of inches from the end, and then I just simply cut my rose. And then what I'll do is I'll get my second rose, lay it alongside the one I've just snipped, and I'll simply cut that the same length. So now I've got my two end roses. So I'm just going to pop the first one in, like so. Then I'm going to pop my second one in. And I always like to hold on to my candle just to make sure the arrangement doesn't move around. Okay, so you need to look from above as you're looking down on your arrangement just to make sure they're even. Okay, and they look okay. Then I'm going to take my other roses. So I'm going to take my next two, and these ones are going to go corner to corner, opposite sides like so. So again, I'm just going to lay them on top and make sure where my corner piece is that they're an inch, inch and a half inwards, and then I'm simply going to cut my stem. I'm going to take the other one and I'm going to do exactly the same. This way I know that they're exactly the same length and they can give a similar look within my arrangement. So I'm going to take these quite far on top. So I don't want these around the sides, lower down. Oh. And I'm going to put them on like that so they're kind of slightly sticking up a little bit. And then just, once your rose is in, just move her around until they look identical either side. And I'm going to take my next 2 roses and do exactly the same. And then do the same with these and add those in. Just so they're even like that. Okay. And then I'm going to take my carnations, which are absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to cut these down and just add them in randomly. So I'm going to go to the outer pieces first. And I'm just going to add these in around my arrangement. Like so. So the carnations are a lot more delicate than the roses when you're putting them into the Oasis. Just going to add those in around the sides. I'm going to do the same round here as well. So I'm going to take these ones a bit lower down. So you've got some florals around the bottoms. Like so. And then I think I'm going to have a couple on top as well. Okay, and that's all I really want for the florals on this one, because we're going to be putting a lot of gold leaf in, and we're going to be putting some artificial berries in as well. So first of all, I'm going to take my berries, and I'm only going to put a couple of clusters in, so I'm going to put a couple each end on here, just to give it that Christmassy effect with some berries. So again, just add these each end, and some of these are really nice because they've got like the little snow effects on them. So I'm just going to have a couple there, and then I'm going to take a couple round the sides, so it's not overpowering and you've just got that little Christmassy berry effect. So we've got our Christmas berries, our roses and our carnations all nestled in with our foliage. And I don't know if you can see on camera, but the water's starting to come out, so just be really careful where you're making your arrangement and make sure the water can't damage any of your surfaces. Okay, so now we have our berries and everything's ready. I have decided halfway through my video to add a couple of golden cones. So you can buy these already done, or you can simply forage for them, dry them out, spray them gold and wire them. I do both really. Sometimes I buy them, sometimes I have some spare, and I like to spray them with snow or gold. So I'm just going to add these only into the top part of my arrangement. I'm not going to have them anywhere else in here. And then once I've done that, I'm going to start adding this beautiful gold leaf that was part of a garland. And this is just going to be quite random, wherever I think it's going to look nice. I'm just going to add this gold leaf in. So again, I have wired some of these just so they can go in easier. So I'm just going to put a few pieces down here at the front, she says, like so. And you can move these around once you've got them all in position. Put a couple of pieces on top. And I think this just really breaks up all the greens. It just gives it that Christmassy sparkle that we all love. And it complements the reds as well, definitely. Looks stunning. The reason I put the cones in the middle is I like to have the main decor in the centre of the piece, and with the candle and then the gold cones and then the leaves exploding outwards. I think that really does look stunning, but again, it's completely up to you. So now we have all our pieces added. You can see here we have the gold cone, the gold leaf, the berries with the roses, carnations and the foliage, and I think this looks absolutely beautiful. And once that candle's lit, it's going to look gorgeous. The only thing with candles, you have to be really careful because it's not in a glass vase. You need to make sure the foliage doesn't come up too high, and you need to keep an eye on it as the candle starts to burn down, because you do not want to catch anything alight. So it's best to get the slow burning candles like I do. Thank you for joining me today in my tutorial. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting and it gave you lots of ideas for different textures and designs for your own Christmas arrangement. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. It's free to do so and it really supports my channel. Also, please look out for other Christmas DIY tutorials that I will be uploading in the next few days. And I hope to see you all soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye.